Hey, what's happening, everybody? My name is Dan Lucero. Welcome to my office, and welcome to a surprise, I suppose, episode of 580 Sports Talk. As you may know, we got Royals baseball this afternoon. Royals open their home schedule against the Minnesota Twins today, a 3:10 first pitch, a 2:30 pregame on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9. And because of that timing, 580 Sports Talk is not on the radio today. But some things couldn't wait until Tuesday. And I decided that before I hit the road to Kauffman Stadium and head on out to see the boys in blue play their first of 81 at the K this afternoon, I would drop by and invite you guys to office hours, I suppose. And we can talk a little bit about what happened this weekend. Three big things I want to get to, things that could not wait until Tuesday for us to cover here on the 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel. So this one is special just for y'all. Appreciate you dropping by, whether you catch it live, and I see a couple of you, Vance and Jeffrey, are in the chat. That's awesome. And invite you, if you are watching on YouTube, to jump in that live chat, 580 Sports Talk. Go subscribe to the show if you have not already. But yeah, hop in the chat, say hello, and if you're watching this a little bit delayed, that's just fine too. Appreciate you checking it out. Normally we're on from 3 to 6 Central Time every day, but again, Royals are preempting us today, and we'll also kind of see if there's an appetite for maybe a little bit of live early afternoon content from us on days where the Royals maybe shorten the show a little bit, days where the Royals have a day game, see if there might be any appetite for that content on our YouTube channel as we move forward. Anyway, we'll hang out for as long as the time will allow, and we'll wait for some more people to hop in and maybe say hello, make your voice heard. If you're in the chat, say hi, and we'll talk about what you guys are probably buzzing about from the weekend. We'll start with the Royals, appropriately enough. They're the reason we don't have a show today. The Royals are 1-2 on the 2026 season. Won yesterday in Atlanta to salvage one after falling in their opener, getting shut out in their opener on Friday night, and then blowing a 2-0 lead in the ninth inning on Saturday to lose that game 6-2. Bouncing back behind a strong outing from Seth Lugo yesterday to beat the Braves 4-1. It's Saturday I want to talk about, because if there's ever been a more predictable blown save loss in the history of Major League Baseball, I don't know that I've ever seen it. That game proved to be the swing game in the series. A lot of times you see that in a 3-game series. You got one game where Team A handles their business. You get one game where Team B handles theirs. Then there's one that's kind of up in the air. And that was Saturday's game between the Braves and the Royals. And the Royals had taken a 2-0 lead. They scored their first run of the season on a Salvador Perez home run, tacked on another with an error. Michael Wacha was really good. Matt Strom, Lucas Erceg locked down the 7th and the 8th. And then Matt Quatraro gave the ball to Carlos Estevez. And I had a bad feeling as soon as I saw the reigning American League saves leader on the mound for the 9th inning. And I'd wager many of you who paid attention through the spring did too. There's a lot made about, well, Carlos Estevez takes some time to ramp up his velocity when the season begins. It takes him some time to really get going, and that's why he's 5 miles an hour off his average fastball velocity through the spring. And look, to a certain extent, yeah, you live with that with certain veteran pitchers and know that, hey, maybe it takes the arm a little bit longer to get warmed up. But the problem for Carlos Estevez is that he is not a pitcher that works well at 90, 91, 92 miles per hour. There are some pitchers who can get by with reduced velocity. Pitchers who know a little bit about the craft of pitching, can work with their secondaries and find a way to get through it when the fastball's not a premium velocity. Most of those pitchers are starting pitchers. Carlos Estevez has never been a starting pitcher, and truth be told, he's never had particularly good secondary pitches. The big deal pitch for Carlos is the fastball. Then when he sits at 96, 97, he can command it pretty well. He can run it up in the zone. He can get some swing and miss on the fastball. And that's why he's had the successful career that he's had, a 2-time All-Star. leader in the American League in saves last season. But not only was it plain through spring training that he didn't have that velocity, he also wasn't effective without his velocity. He was walking guys. He was afraid to come over the plate because of the reduced velocity and because he doesn't really have a whole lot else to keep batters honest other than that fastball. So it felt like something bad was about to happen when Estevez took the ball in a 2-run game against the meat of the Braves order. And what do you know? Something bad did happen. Just like in the spring, he could not throw his fastball for strikes. Just like in the spring, he could not throw his fastball hard. He did not locate his missing velocity in the airplane bathroom on the trip from Arlington to Atlanta. As it turns out, it was not there. He did not locate that missing velocity in the locker room at Truist Park. He did not locate it in the bullpen, and he did not locate it on the mound. And his fastest fastball of the day, a whopping 92 miles per hour, was deposited in the right field seats by Dominic Smith for a game-winning grand slam, giving the Braves a 6-2 win. I am, again, understanding that there's proof in the pudding. There's proof in the numbers. It has always taken Estevez time to get to his best fastball velocity, to ramp up. But he can't ramp up in a less high leverage spot. He has to ramp up in a save situation in the second game of the season. And by the way, he's 33 years old. That right arm is throwing a lot of fastballs. He threw a career low miles per hour average velocity with his fastball last year. How much more is there to ramp up? And to give that important role to a guy who was not ready to start the season, plainly not ready to start the season at his best, that is such a disservice to the 25 other guys in that roster who were ready to start the season, who did put together an effort worth of victory on Saturday. Giving it to Carlos Estevez was a mistake waiting to happen. And what do you know? It happened. And after the game, Matt Cotrero said, yeah, we'll think about using Estevez in lower leverage situations moving forward as he tries to fight to get his velocity back. But if you were going to do that after just one bad outing, you should have known well enough to do it after 0. That was managing malpractice. It was deference to a player who had not earned it with his spring training performance. And I understand you never want to overreact to the spring. You don't want to overreact to an ERA in the spring, and that's all well and good, but the performance matched the poor statistics for Estevez. He was not throwing strikes. He was not throwing hard. And if he's not doing either of those things, he's not pitchable. As we're recording this just after 11 o'clock on this Royals opening day Monday, I think there's half a chance, honestly, that you could see Estevez move to the injured list. He took a line drive. The cruel irony of that is there's a chance that might have ended up being a double play that won the game for the Royals, and we're having maybe a slightly different conversation about the whole weekend. But he got hit in the ankle with that hard ground ball off the bat of, I'm trying to remember who it was, and I can't off the top of my head. But he was in a walking boot yesterday. There's a chance they could put him on the injured list. That might be the best place for him, not for the ankle, but for his arm, to get his arm right, to get his confidence back up, get his control right. They've got relievers with options down at AAA. It's not like they'll be lost without him. Lucas Erceg proved in the ninth inning yesterday they have a perfectly acceptable ninth inning option while Estevez gets right. But he wasn't right. And Matt Cotrero should have known he wasn't right, and that should not have been his first outing of the season. It was not fair to Estevez, and it was not fair to the 25 other guys who were ready for the start of the 2026 season and played well enough for 8 innings to win that ball game. Credit to the Royals for bouncing back. There were some positives from the weekend. Seth Lugo was terrific yesterday, working into the 7th inning, helps keep the rest of the bullpen fresh as Cotrero has to move guys around into different roles. I doubt we'll see Erceg today, no matter what the score is. That would be 2 straight days of work, or 3 straight days worth of work for him. You typically don't like to do that with your short relievers early on. So I have no idea who will pitch the ninth if the Royals are leading in today's game. Absolutely no idea. I just know it won't be Carlos Estevez. It probably won't be Erceg either. But it was good to see Lugo get off to a good start. It was good to see Michael Wacha throw the ball well. 6 really strong innings on Saturday. Carter Jensen with his first home run of the season. Nice to see him picking up where he left off from his hot September last year. Some good things on the weekend for the Royals. It was very nearly a series win. At least they avoided the sweep. And that's what good teams do when they lose series. They don't get swept. So at least a positive there for Sunday's win and a happy flight back to Kansas City, where, again, they open today against the Twins. Other things I want to talk about here on these this office hours edition of a bonus 580 Sports Talk on this Monday morning. The Final Four is all set, and I was this close to having predicted all 4 Final Four teams correctly for the first time since I can remember. That's a hard thing to do, as it turned out. In our 580 Sports Talk bracket challenge, we only had one person out of 159 brackets pick the Final Four exactly correct. So it's hard to pick the Final Four correct. Even in a year like last year where there was all number 1 seeds, that can be hard to predict that is what is going to happen. That's why we love the tournament, the unpredictability of it. But I was this close. All Duke had to do was not spit up all over their shoes. All Duke had to do was hold a 19-point second half. All Duke had to do was not throw the ball to the other team with 5 seconds left. That's all. I don't think I was asking for much. All Duke has to do is not barf on their Nikes, and they're going to the Final Four, and I would have gone 4 for 4. I gave you Illinois. I gave you Arizona. I gave you Michigan. I gave you Duke. I made a mistake. I forgot who Duke's coach is. I want to be really clear about Duke's choke job. And it's kind of unfair to Braden Mullins and UConn that we're talking about Duke choking and less about UConn rallied from that 19-point lead. Like, there's two sides of that. Mullins made an incredible shot, 35-foot heave at the buzzer. That was truly, truly remarkable. But we're talking about Duke choking because they keep doing it. They keep doing it in the NCAA tournament. Their last 4 losses, in fact, dating back to the Final Four against Houston last year, Duke has had a 12-plus point second half lead in all of them. And if you want to go back to the last 3 NCAA tournaments, they blew a 19-point lead yesterday to UConn, a 12-point lead or a bigger lead than that to Houston in the Final Four last year, and a 6-point lead inside the final minute. And they blew a 6-point halftime lead, got outscored by 18 points by a double-digit North Carolina State seed. The problem is not the players. They keep changing year over year. The problem is leadership. The problem is Duke head coach Jon Scheyer, who is the master of panic in big games. I don't know why exactly it is that when Scheyer's teams get out to big second half leads in the NCAA tournament, he starts coaching like he's got the underdog, like he's coaching a 13 seed and they're just trying to hang on for dear life to win the game. I don't know why Jon Scheyer's only got one play in his playbook for the second half of games, and it's QB Neal trying to just run out the clock. I don't know why they don't actually run plays down the stretch in games. Why it is that only their best players seem to score. It was only Cooper Flagg scoring in the final stages of last year. It was only Cam Boozer scoring in the final stages of this game. But it's all true. The evidence is all there in front of you. Jon Scheyer's not built for this. He's a bad coach. He is the master of panic. He is why Duke is choked. He is why Duke blew that game, why they panicked down the stretch, why they made the play that they make. Because as a player, as a college player, you reflect your leadership. And that is Jon Scheyer, the master of panic. Let me be really clear. Anybody can recruit to Duke. You want to give Jon Scheyer credit for being some master recruiter? Give me a friggin' break. They're Nike's #1 school. They're always going to get big-time players. It could be you or me coaching that team, and they'd still get the caliber of players that they get to come into that program. That is a point-and-shoot recruiting job. There is nothing about Jon Scheyer that says he is an exceptional recruiter beyond what anybody else could do in that gig. And there is ample evidence now that as an in-game coach, Jon Scheyer hurts his team, particularly in the big games, because he chokes, because he panics. Jon Scheyer is the master of panic. Duke as a program will always recruit big time players. They got the number one pick and the rookie of the year in the NBA right now from last year's Duke team. And the runner up for rookie of the year in the NBA was also on Duke's Final Four team last year. They're going to have another top three, maybe even top two NBA draft pick coming off of this roster in Cam Boozer. And that's going to happen year over year over year because that's Duke. That's who they attract to that program. But as far as winning in the NCAA tournament, Duke has a ceiling, and his name is Jon Scheyer. And until they figure that out, they're going to keep choking on applesauce like this in the NCAA tournament over and over and over and over again because you cannot trust Jon Scheyer with even a 19-point lead. A 15-point halftime lead. You know how many times a number one seed had lost with a 15-point halftime lead in NCAA tournament history? Zero. It had never happened before. Jon Scheyer, the master of panic, made it happen. And now UConn is moving on. Their third Final Four in 4 years. I still don't actually think they're that good. Frankly, I think Illinois is going to beat them, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll break down that matchup. We'll actually get to that on some real editions of 580 Sports Talk as we get closer to those national semifinals. But I'm still feeling good about my Arizona over Illinois pick in the national championship game. Arizona looked great in the second half, just choked Purdue out. They were too physical and too big for Purdue. Michigan blew Tennessee completely out of the water. I think Michigan's probably been, pound for pound, the most impressive team in the tournament to date. And then Illinois was able to pull away late over Iowa in that Elite Eight game. Fun to see the Shawnee Mission Northwest product, Keaton Wagler, in the Final Four. Illinois back in the Final Four for the first time in ages. It's been a long time for both Illinois and Arizona to be back in the Final Four. So I think that's going to be the title game matchup, but I was this close to 4 out of 4 in the Final Four. I think if Arizona does beat Illinois in the title game, by the way, I think I win the 580 Sports Talk Bracket Challenge. I think my bracket wins. So if that happens, I'm going to treat myself to some Royals tickets. But we'll see how it goes over the weekend, Saturday, the national semifinals. One more thing we got to talk about today. Gary Woodland is a winner on the PGA Tour once again. And what an emotional moment. What an incredible journey for Gary Woodland back to the winner's circle. His first win since the 2019 U.S. Open, yes, but also his first win since undergoing brain surgery to remove a tumor in 2023. It's a well-known story. We all know the story around here. He is, of course, I say it it's a bit of a joke. It's a nod to an old line they used to use about Tom Watson in Kansas City, and I use it out of a great deal of respect. Gary Woodland is the professional sports franchise of Topeka, Kansas. He's ours, and we're proud of him. And we are proud to see him back in the winner's circle collectively, I think, as he won the Texas Children's Houston Open by 5 shots over Nikolai Højgaard yesterday. A tournament he was one back after one day, but then he was the second round leader, he was the third round leader, and he ended up leading by as many as 7 and kind of coasting on the back 9 to his first win in nearly 7 calendar years. And a journey back to winning that was made all the more special by what he had to overcome to get there, what he is still working on trying to overcome, the difficulties with PTSD that he openly discussed earlier this month. And one of the things he said in a Golf Channel interview was that he's hopeful that being open and honest about the struggles that he has faced can help him, that hiding what he was going through wasn't doing him any good. So maybe being open and honest about his struggles, his difficulties, would help him in addition to maybe helping others. Because if there's one thing that Gary Woodland is about, it's helping other people. It's being there for other people. It's why he's one of the most charitable golfers on tour. It's why he's one of the most beloved golfers on the PGA Tour. It's why everybody was so darn happy to see him win, from Dan Hicks in the NBC booth to Minwoo Lee following him up the 18th fairway at a respective distance, urging the crowd to make more noise for Gary Woodland. And the crowd chanted his name as he made his way up that 18th fairway, knowing he was going to win. It was a goosebump moment. It was a moment that brought tears. And The neat thing about Gary is that even as he reached international golf stardom with his major championship win in 2019 and playing in the Ryder Cup and the career that he's had, the money that he's won on the tour, the accolades he's received, and the attention that his surgery and recovery and his struggles and his fight have received, he's never forgotten where he came from. He recorded a video for his former high school basketball coach, Craig Cox. Craig Cox was coach at Seaman, and he retired from coaching this past year. And Seaman High School did a video tribute to Coach Cox after their final regular season game. And Gary Woodland recorded a short video for that. He didn't have to do that. He's got his own things going on. He's trying to maintain his tour status, which gets a lot easier after you win a tournament. But he did. He recorded a video and sent it along and wished his old coach well in retirement. That's the kind of guy Gary Woodland is. And I think that the reason we're so proud of him here in Topeka is because he's never forgotten his roots, and because I think he reflects so much goodness and so much decency that I think we would all like to be a little more like his public facing persona. The time that he's given, the money that he's given to causes, to kids, to folds of honor, just a giving person and a decent person and a person who is loved on that tour. And it was really, really cool to see him win. I got to watch. I had noticed he was a shot back of the lead after Thursday. Friday at work, ESPN, they show the day-long coverage on ESPN Plus. So I turned it on. He was flushing it all day Friday. I mean, every approach right on top of the pin, every putt seemed to find the bottom of the hole. He built a 3-shot lead going into the weekend, and he had finished T2 at that event last year. So you kind of had the feeling, hey, this isn't a fluke. Like, he's playing really well, one, but two, he's obviously a fit for this course. He's going to have confidence in the course. Maybe he could do this. And to see him do it was really emotional, and just a really, really cool thing to see. And I think around the capital city of Kansas, we all kind of felt a little piece of that win for Gary Woodland. It's an incredible golf story, and I hope some of you got to watch some of it over the weekend. Got to see him putt out and par the 18th and win that golf tournament. That was really neat. That was really special. Some stuff couldn't wait till Tuesday, so that's why we did a little bonus show today. Again, appreciate everybody who checked us out live. Vance and Jeffrey in the chat. See you guys. Thanks for chatting along, and appreciate you guys being here today. Again, Royals baseball coming up this afternoon. I'll be at the K, and I'll give you my first day home game impressions on tomorrow's show. Royals, of course, will be off tomorrow, so we'll have tomorrow's show to talk about what we see today for the boys in blue in their home opener. It's Chris Bubich on the mound for the Royals against Simeon Woods Richardson of the Twins. Royals are going with their A lineup: Garcia, Witt, Pasquantino, Perez, Jensen, India, Caglione, Collins, Isbell. And we'll see how they do on a day where the wind is going to be blowing out. So I think there might be some right-handed hitters hitting the ball a long way today at Kauffman Stadium. Maybe testing out some of those brand new fences. So look forward to the game today. Look forward to talking to you all tomorrow on our regular time, 3 to 6 here on this YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and of course on our terrestrial radio home, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9. We're online at 580WIBW.com. Thanks for hanging out. My name is Dan Lucero. I got some tidying up around the office to do. Then I'm on my way to the K. Y'all have a great day, everybody.